All right, so what's going on here? What are we doing
Dude,
here?
this is paradise, man. I'm actually tempted to like see if I can rent one of these places and just live here. You might have me living in Vauch and never go back to Las Vegas. This is awesome.
Vouch is way better than Las Vegas,
Oh my
right?
God, so much better. I say this all the time. One day when my daughters grow up, I'm going to retire in Europe. I don't know where yet, but I'll move here one day. I love it.
That's awesome. So another Zenith camp, right?
Dude, this is camp number 15 or something, man. We've been doing these for a while. The first ones were in Gdynia, I believe, right? And then we moved to Poznan. It's the first time we're doing them in Walsh. We had a 2.5, almost 3-year hiatus because of the COVID pandemic, right? So it's it's been almost 3 years since, it would be 3 years in October since I've been in Poland, so it's good to be back.
How you think you're watching Polish jiu-jitsu scene and the Zenith team and everything growing for like I said, like couple years already.
You know, it's like if you see your child every day, you don't see them grow. But if you see your nephew or niece every year, you see them grow, right? That's how I feel about you guys. I see you guys once a year. So I see something you guys don't see, right? Because it's you don't notice it because it's so gradual for you. But like, when I first came here in 2006, I think we've argued that before. I think it might have been 2006, my first camp here, or my first time in Poland. I think there was one black belt in the whole country in Warsaw, and then everyone else was blue belt and purple belt teaching, right? So it was like, today I think Zenith, we have at least 50 black belts in Poland, probably closer to 60, 70. So, man, it's just the team alone has grown so much. I mean, jiu-jitsu in Poland has, 3,000 black belts now, something like that? It's crazy.
I mean, a lot, yeah, for sure.
So, I'm happy to be able to be part of that because, I mentioned this in the camp, when you're a fighter, your metric of happiness is winning, right? I mean, you're going to lose too, but you use that as an incentive to push through. But you fight. The reason why you kill yourself every day, what gets you out of bed is the prospect of victory, the prospect of winning. When you retire, you find yourself lost emotionally. Like, what the hell? What am I born to do then? Because I thought I was supposed to be a winner, and I can't win anymore because I have arthritis all over my body. My heart's broken. You find yourself like looking for new things. Like, oh man, I'm a coach and I love to teach, so I get joy out of watching you guys win. If I see my students win and perform and do well and improve, that makes me happy. So that's where I get, my happiness out of it. Is like not other things too, but like in the fight world, I would like to see you guys grow. So when I come to Poland and I see that I made a dent in improving jiu-jitsu in Poland and I had an impact, and that, years from now, people are going to be saying, like, who your black belt under? I got a black belt, from a guy that got it from Robert Drysdale, they got it from Leo Vieira. They're going to trace their lineage back, and it's going to go through me at some point, and I had an impact in jiu-jitsu in Poland. That makes me very happy, man. Not out of ego, now out of vanity, out of like, man, I'm helping give the opportunity to other people to have this art do for them what it did for me. Because it did a lot for me, and I think that's my motivation, how to help spread it too, and I get to see you guys. You guys are friends or family to me. So here, come on, man. I get paid to do this. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
It's unbelievable you guys pay me. I still can't believe it.
All right, so what's the plan for the camp? You got some schemes, you got everything,
So I got a revolution in the making, I believe. No one's gonna pay attention because I'm off with marketing, but it's good stuff. I believe that jiu-jitsu's gone full circle because it's like fashion. Remember when you were a kid, maybe baggy jeans were...
Of course.
And then you get skinny jeans, and now we're going back to baggy. Like, fashion is circular, right? There are no great inventions. There's nothing new under the sun, right? That's a quote from the Bible. There's nothing new under the sun. So that's how old this conversation is. And I think jiu-jitsu is going under a similar process. Like when people are passing standing, it was more efficient to pass standing, right? Because you can move more. It's harder to finish you too. How do you get caught in a triangle or a collar choke if you're standing up? Harder. Very hard. So they start passing standing. As a result, a lot of guards evolved in the direction of single X, De La Hiva, right? So all these guards came about. And now the major threat has been like the heel hooks from the bottom. So you've seen guys go back to passing on their knees, right? Because there's no De La Hiva when you're on your knees. And you can't, it's hard to get to the legs when you're on your knees. So as a result, I think a lot of people are going to be going back to passing on their knees. And as a result of that, a lot of collar chokes are going to come back because collar chokes are very efficient when your opponent's low. When it's grounded, if you stand it, they don't work, right? So I'm coming up with some solutions to passing some of these modern guards that involve like neutralizing like them from the get-go, so you never have to deal with the problem. So the main thing I come up with is what is a very old school pass, which is the over-under. It's the over-under pass. But how do you get to the over-under, right? A lot of guys don't know how to get there because it's something that's not even on the table, because like, oh, that's an old school pass. But I honestly believe that that is the solution to a lot of berimbolos, de la Hiva, butterfly. What do? We did half guard today, deep half guard, and they all have one thing in common. You're always threading the leg, that over-under position. I'm threading the leg, I'm blocking the knee, right? You got to watch out for the triangle there. But that's what I've been focusing on in terms of passing. I've been using it a lot in practice, even though I can't really roll hard anymore. You know, I'm so messed up, I can't really push the threshold. But like, I think it's, I
saw you rolling today.
No, I can move. I can't hand fight. Like if I put you in a Kimura, I'm gonna let go. If I put you in a rear naked choke, I'm gonna let go, because I can't. So my submission game has gone to shit, but I can still move. You know, it's just like the hand fighting, I can't grip fight, none of that. But yeah, man, life is good, man. Like I got this stuff for the camp, and I think you guys will enjoy. And yeah, I think I think it's the way to go to beat a lot of what they call modern guards, is to fish for the over-under and drop to your knees, where those guards that exist to prevent standing passing and knee cuts are completely inefficient if you're staying low, right? So.
All right. Enough of the camp talk. What have you been up to? What's good? What are you doing lately?
I'm working hard. I wrote a book that it was like more for mindset, and it was put a lot of time and working, like almost like 2 years into it. And
you were talking about the second book?
No,
the first one.
That's another one. That's not a sequel. And I put it on hold now because it wasn't, I wasn't happy with it. So I'm going to rewrite it with a whole new mindset. I'm going to start all over again with trying to say the same thing, but with a whole new different language and set of eyes, because it got too complicated. And after like 3 drafts, I just wasn't happy with it. It's called The Inner Game of Fighting. It's more mindset. But now I'm finishing a sequel to Opening Closed Guard, and it has to do with the beginning of what I call the Spartan era in jiu-jitsu. It goes from 1967, the birth of competitive jiu-jitsu, the birth of the Guanabara Federation, all the way to the days of the rise of the IBJJF, right, where they came from, and the process of what I call the Americanization of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's become Americanized.
It is.
Not in technical terms. It's like people talking about, oh, there's innovation. I'm like, innovation has been a constant in jiu-jitsu history. It's never been the case. The difference is now it is no longer an exclusivity of Brazilians. True. So now, people in the U.S. are going, and I'm American, I can say this, but some of this is bordering on like it's just not intelligent. There's no other way to put it. Like the stuff these guys say, you give it thought? Like when these guys say things like, oh, Americans are innovating jiu-jitsu. Like, what about the Polish? What about the Argentinians? What about
Scandinavians?
the Scandinavians? Like, everyone's innovating jiu-jitsu, right? But it's like, it's this attempt to, because if a lot of Americans think, if you put an American flag in front of it, or if you say something American, it's like, oh, I'm going to make more money that way, because it appeals to American patriotic feelings, right? So it's a quick way to make money, but it's dishonest because it's not true. They're not doing anything new or different. It's just the same stuff. And innovation is something that comes about everywhere. My other peeve is like, oh, they're bringing more eyes to the sport. And which eyes are you talking about? The same ones that train every day, the same ones that go to IBJJF tournaments, that at every gym, and every competition, every NAGA, and every
what's new about that?
What's new about these eyes? Please tell me, because I guarantee if you interview these people here, like 100% of them train. And maybe the one that doesn't is the girlfriend who's there because her boyfriend dragged her there. Yeah, but she doesn't want to be there.
Or maybe the mom who's
there. Maybe the mom
who's
like watching her child, exactly. But it's like these people talking about bringing eyes to the sport. I'm like, please teach me what eyes. It's the same people I see at every tournament. But it's propaganda, man, and it works. And I guess as a historian, I have a peeve against that, because as a historian, you're trying to correct the wrongs. So we move forward in the right way, right? And then when you see people right in front of you going out of their way to present things the wrong way, falsely, right, full of errors, just to benefit themselves, that bothers me. It's like, wait a second.
That doesn't feel nice.
No, it does, because like 50 years from now, some guy's going to have to spend like, thousands of hours of his life just to correct you.
To get there.
And by then it's too late. It doesn't matter, because like we're talking about people that have zero understanding of what journalism is. They just don't understand what journalism. I mean, they're journalists, but they don't understand what it is. They should not be called journalists. Like you should go back to school, and you gotta start from scratch, man, and just rethink your responsibility, because you have. It's like it's the Spider-Man quote: "With power comes responsibility." Yeah,
and a lot of people are like, I mean, I have this thought about jiu-jitsu. Like people don't know how to escape mount, but they want to do berimbolos. Same thing. Like no fundamentals. You know what I mean?
And then this is the problem, man, because like jiu-jitsu, it's been so influenced by social media in general, and there's some good things about it. Information spreads, but it comes if information is only good if there are filters.
Of course.
If you remove all filters, then information is actually, it's chaos. It's very dangerous, in fact, because you get the wipeout. They don't know. So,
they see what looks good. They're like, I want to do that.
It must be true. Everyone's talking about it. And then as a result, like, you're not really necessarily, the evolution is no longer guided, right? Because I argue this in the book, like, the two things that shape a sport or martial art is the culture and the rules. The rules guide the technical evolution, but the culture is important too because it prevents these things from making through. That's the filter. Like, for example, 30 years ago, if you showed something and it looked like bullshit, they go like, bullshit. That's bullshit. They would just say, that's bullshit. I'll smack you in the head if you do that. Back in the day, they trained with slaps every now and then to remind you that if you did that, you get whacked in the head. It's not going to work in a fight.
I had a fight with slaps, like jiu-jitsu with slapping. It's crazy. It changes.
It changes.
But it should. I mean, I think it's better and it's easier for to turn to MMA, to at least have a little bit of trying of that formula, than not do it at all and just do sports jiu-jitsu, especially with the style that people have right now, that they don't even care about getting hit in the head.
And part of the book is like, it's this debate between what I call Spartan jiu-jitsu and democratic jiu-jitsu. What do we want? Because it's important. Because we're shaping the sport. Like, if we're going to become democratic, which is what we have become, which is good in ways, because everyone makes more money, right? Okay. But that's the route that Taekwondo went down. That's the route that, karate went down. Like, they became less credible because they've opened it up so much, they lost that track of what's efficient and for you to do that, to have the reality check, right? In Brazil, they call it confetti, which means check, right? It's just like, you got to get checked every now and then, right? And if you don't do that, then, you end up watering down the martial art. And I think we're kind of in the process of that happening. I almost have a view of like a jiu-jitsu that's more Spartan. It's like, maybe less money, maybe less people, but we keep the integrity and the efficiency of jiu-jitsu. Because to me, it all comes down to efficiency, not popularity, not fashion, not entertainment. I'm interested in efficiency. Why did this whole thing blow up? Because of Royce Gracie.
Because of efficiency.
Because Royce Gracie, he's a skinny guy. He walks in there, he's like Brazilian skinny guy with a gi. It's not even making sense. And he goes in there, he's choking all these guys out, and everyone's like, holy cow, what is this?
What just happened?
I call it the second greatest revolution in the history of martial arts. And these guys, and then that's what set this whole thing in motion. If we lose that, then what are we?
We lose the spirit then. The whole spirit of this martial art, right?
It's exactly, it's what kept us on track, right? So if we lose that, but again, like, the popularity of jiu-jitsu has its benefits too. It's hard to go back. Can you put the genie back in the bottle?
Might be hard.
We won the revolution, and now we don't know what to do with it. That's the thing. Like, we have to find out what we're going to do after we won. We won. We're on our way to become the most practiced martial art in the world. Okay, now what? How do we maintain that integrity, right? So that's.
What do you think? How are we going to maintain that integrity?
We have to. The community has to make a decision. The sport is going to split, like it is splitting, or we have to make a cohesive decision of whether we're going to have a Spartan or a democratic jiu-jitsu. Do you want Spartan warriors, the few, the proud, the 300 that can hold the line? Or
thousands
social media.
Or social media.
Everyone's opinion is equal. I've been training for 2 weeks, Rob. I know what I'm talking about. I literally, I stopped going online because I feel like my first, like, I'm going to try to change the world. The idealistic.
It's hard.
And then I go on there and I'm trying to teach this white belt, that like why he's wrong. I'm patient. And I can go, they'll direct message me and I'll get on, like, spend an hour of my life talking to these people in hopes that I can steer them. Sometimes I do, like, oh man, you're actually not a bad guy, like you're making sense.
Makes some
but
sense.
Most of the time they're just gonna get a kick out of talking shit to you. And I'm going, why am I wasting my time with this guy? Like, he's been training. I literally had people that are like blue belts, purple belts tell me that I don't understand jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, fuck man, like, pretty sure I know jiu-jitsu. That's the only thing that I'm sure in life that I know understand. Like, if I don't understand jiu-jitsu, I don't even know what I'm doing here, man. That's the one thing. Like, I think I understand jiu-jitsu, right? And I have a blue belt tell me that I don't. So I've given all hope on social media because I think it's a lost cause. It has become a snowball of stupidity. Algorithm reinforces stupidity, not quality. And I don't want to be part of it because if you want to be part of that world, you're going to have to be part of the snowball, meaning you have to be increasingly
follow the crowd. Follow the crowd.
Follow the crowd, and the crowd is stupid. They're blind. The crowd is blind. They're just like a bag in the wind.
That's the thing. Like not only about jiu-jitsu, but like back in the day, even when I was growing up, if you wanted to get to the media, if you wanted to be heard or seen, you had to be a specialist in something. You would
Yeah,
have to be a
100%.
musician,
Yeah.
an actor, a sportsman, or
With qualifications.
some good. You had to be good at something. Now, if you want to be in media, you just have to fucking shoot a video and post it online. You know, you don't have to be. You can be nobody.
And it seems like, oh, but that's the way it should be. I'm like, no,
Not
you
really.
You don't let lay people perform brain surgery, right?
Yeah,
It's just a brain surgery is such a
hear
drastic example, but you wouldn't allow that. You want an expert, right? So when it comes to everything, you want experts because it's overall better for. But then we've given rise to the age of influencers and people being famous for being famous, and fake it till you make it is like a model of the generation, and it has detrimental. I personally believe that jiu-jitsu has to be resistant to all that. We have to be a bastion of strength and not weakness. We have to be at odds with this culture. We cannot follow it because this culture will lead us to nothing. It is decadence in that sense. It's going downhill. It's not going to get better. We shouldn't follow it. We should go the other way, however much resistance we encounter.
The other way is always harder.
But where do you want to live? You want to live the bottom or you want to live top of the mountains? Like what's going to make you stronger? What's better?
The hard times make strong people, right?
That's what I think jiu-jitsu should move that direction. But of course, when you say this, oh, I must be a hater because I'm at all. It's like you find yourself with your hands tied because like you really don't know how to tackle this. Because look, I'll write articles, for example. People don't read. What am I going to do then? I'll write another book.
I didn't read your book.
No. I know you haven't. I'm actually upset. You read Hickson's book before you read mine. Mine has been out for like 2 years, but hey.
All right.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Next time I see you,
I'm gonna remember everything.
We translated into Polish just for you guys, just so you guys could read it. It was a lot of work to try. I mean, not on my part. Clearly, I didn't translate it, but someone put like Jarosław put a lot of work into translating it. So. But yeah, like, but people don't read it. But the thing about the video format, I'm not trying to shit on the video format, but it's not as rich as writing. Because you can get a lot
the writing
more.
makes you more focused when you're the reader, or I mean, it's different of watching a video or reading a book. Like you have to give more thought to it.
And
right?
first we had a radio, right? First you don't have books. That was information, was books. And then we had radio, and we had television. And now we have internet, and now we have blogs, and now we have social media, Facebook, Instagram. Now we're at TikTok, and we're down to 10 seconds. Whereas a book would take you 10 hours to read, right? Or longer, or like 20 hours, or 50, or 100 hours, or whatever. Now we're down to 10 seconds because people want more and more and more. And that's all great, but unless you have the filters to be able to filter that information, and that information is not necessarily doing good, right?
That's the thing. If you're smart, you filter your own information, because internet is also very good because you can find expert opinions about everything, and you can find good knowledge about everything. Yeah. But you can also find a fucking.
This is what I tell people. People get into discussions with me about COVID and like geopolitics and all these things. I'm like, I don't know, but like whatever you do, don't Google it.
Yeah.
If you're going to use Google Scholar.
I mean, if you feel bad and you Google something, you always have cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Your arm hurts, you have cancer. Your leg hurts.
And you're going to find whatever information soothes your own, pre-established beliefs. So like I tell you, go on Google Scholar. Google Scholar, it selects for academic articles. There's more reading. It's a little bit harder. But it's quality information. That's the difference. So you're going to read the abstract. Okay, now I have an idea what a virus is, how it spreads, instead of repeating what you heard on television, for example.
Or what you read in the comment sections.
Or you read the comment sections, even worse. I'm like, why would you not listen to a guy with like 3 PhDs, 50 years in a lab, but you would listen to a guy just because he can afford a phone, he has an opinion now. And like, they're equal opinions? I'm like, wait a second, man.
Not really.
There are layers to this. Just like in jiu-jitsu, there are white belts and black belts. We don't have white belts to teach class, right? So it's the same thing. But it's the world we're living in, man. We have to adapt to it to some degree. But I as a jiu-jitsu aficionado, as someone who loves jiu-jitsu, and I want to see it grow, not go down, I lean towards a more Spartan view of it, man. I think that if we lose some people along the way,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. For the few and the proud kind of thing, Like I'd rather less people but they're true to the art and
quality,
its purpose.
Not
quality over quantity. Yeah.
All right. So you said you're doing a sequel and a totally different book, right? So 2 other books are in the making.
Yeah,
right?
there's the other one is called The Inner Game of Fighting, and it's more mindset, but I've had a really hard, I spoke a little about today, I'll talk about performance and comfort. Like that's what the book is about. Like how do you improve? Like why is it that, okay, so for example, you have guys that, like Bruno Malfacine is one of the most accomplished competitors, and I think he's got 12 world titles.
Yeah, he had like the most ever or something. Yeah, he's like one of the best
arguably
guys.
more impressive than Bushesh and Roger. I'll tell you why.
Or at least, you know, same.
Because he did it in one division. 12 years on top of, that's unbelievable. 12 years.
Especially the division is not whack at all. Like it's very
super
competitive. It's like one of the hardest divisions.
To me, I don't even know Bruno Movesini. I never met Bruno Movesini, but like I put that guy on a pedestal. I always have. Because like, man, this guy's doing something different, right? But you have all these guys, and then you have Roger, for example, Buchecha. Okay, so I'll give you 3 names, right? Let's add Rafael Mendes there, like 4 of the greats, right?
Yeah.
Shit, let's just add Marcelo Garcia in there just for fun. They're completely different, technically.
All of them.
They have nothing to do with one another. You want to throw another 5 in there? Lucas Lepre, who else you want to throw in there? Filipa Pena, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They all different.
Totally different.
So to me, that says something that technique is not the common denominator because their techniques are wildly different. The common denominator, by definition, has to be something else. Like, why are these guys winning? Because it's not the this guy does cross-collar choke from out. That's why he's like, no, the other guy does berimbolo and he wins too.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not the technique. Not the technique is not important, but to me, it's a secondary force. Just like conditioning. It's important, but it's not the most important.
It helps. It's important.
It's important. You have to. You can't go in there without it.
But it's not the X factor, right?
It's not the. So I'm trying to get the inner book of fighting. The inner game of fighting is what is the crux of what gets a fighter to tick? Like what gets a fighter out of bed every morning and makes him pursue the challenges that he pursues and why is it that some of these guys win and some don't?
It's a good thing you got some experience with that. Because you also, you know, for years you were getting up and driving to training for, you know, different cities, different places, tournaments, ADCCs, everything. Like you got some experience.
You know, like when looking back, man, like I didn't feel like I was paying a high price. But looking back now, I go like, man, I don't even know what I was thinking. Yeah. I used to walk in the Vegas sun. Vegas sun is not like this. You've been to Vegas.
I know, I've been
there. It's 120 degrees.
It's horrible.
It's like
I got sunburned in Vegas from the buckle of the belt in the car.
Yeah.
It burned me on my skin just the car was standing outside of the gym.
In Celsius, it goes like 45 to 50 degrees. That's normal, right? I used to walk in that sun to go to practice. Like from bus stop to bus stop. It took me 3 hours each way. 6 hours a day in a bus just
not
to
even
practice.
Thinking if it's worth
not
it.
Even
just
thinking.
Wanted to do it.
You're
right?
not even thinking about it, you know.
Yeah. I had the same thought last time because I was thinking like when my parents moved out of the city, I was traveling to training for like hour and a half maybe, like the whole totally different part of the city.
Yeah.
I was with a tram, with a bus, walking, did the class, went back home, and usually there was no buses, so my father had to pick me up in like halfway or something. And now I'm thinking about it, like right now I wouldn't do it probably. You know what I mean? Like right now I would probably quit easily. Same thing with me competing at the beginning. I competed for like a year or two and I didn't even win a fight. And then after 2 years I did Europeans, Polish championship, you know, all the different stuff. But after like 2 years of getting my ass whooped every fucking month or every week, and I was like, why I was still doing it? Like, I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like now it doesn't make sense to me.
That's the X factor.
But back then, it was normal for me. I was like, doesn't matter the result, doesn't matter the time. I just want to do it. Yeah.
And I think that's the tick. I think a lot of people have the wrong motivations. And I want to talk about this because as popularity grows, money comes into the sport. I think a lot of people, when they put their pillow at home, like put their head on the pillow before they go to bed, and when they're right before they sleep, they're dreaming. They're thinking about their day. I don't know this, but I think a lot of them are thinking about the money, the popularity, right? The perks, like the rewards,
likes, the follows,
exactly. And I'm like, if that's what you're thinking about, you're in the wrong art. You got to be doing something else, because you should be thinking about how do I beat that guy in practice tomorrow? How do I beat that? How do I
feel better? How do I get better quicker?
How do I exactly? And these are the things. So the inner game of fighting is about that. It's like, what are the things that gets a fighter? I'll give you an example. Like I had this one kid. He moved from a different city to train with me, and he's super talented, very gifted, and he wanted to be a UFC champion. I let him stay at my house in exchange for like 2 hours a day of work on the computer, free training, free food, laundry, internet, air conditioning,
free life.
15-minute walk from the gym. 15-minute walk from the gym. Like from here, the
you
dorm
did the
is like
same
a
to
5
me
minute.
In 2008. Yeah, I was living at your house and walking to the gym.
And it's a 15-minute walk, right? And like he's got to work for me for 2 hours in front of the computer, air conditioning, everything, right? He wasn't going to practice, and I realized why isn't he going to practice? Because like he couldn't get someone to pick him up. And I'm like, wait, what? Oh, he's not making it to practice because no one's picking him up. I'm like, but he lives 15 minutes away. He wouldn't walk. And the guy would not walk 15 minutes to practice.
That's too much.
And this is the guy telling me he's going to be a UFC champion. I'm like, how?
Yeah, that might be hard.
How?
That might be hard.
That
with
work
that mindset.
ethic. You can't walk for 50 minutes. You want to be a UFC champion? You have no idea the price you got to pay to be there, right? No matter how talented you are. So that's what the book's about. It's like what the difference between the people that pursue it for the right reasons and the people who pursue it for the wrong reasons. And I think that right there is, it starts with that, right? And then their mindset follows, because the people who are doing it for the right reasons, they'll always run at challenges. They see the best guy in the gym, they don't run from him, they run at him.
I'm not doing 1 round with this guy today, I'm going to do 3.
Oh, you want to get tapped. You
Let's go again.
Yeah, and
let's go again.
That's the kind of mindset you need, right? But
he smashed me. Yeah. Come on, let's do it tomorrow.
But
I'm going to get you.
But at the same time, Philip, I don't even know if you can change that in people, because a lot of these things, I think some of it might be genetics. Some of it might be like, you know, your upbringing, how your parents raised you, and then your coach does not have enough input in your life to change you.
You really have to really want something to have that kind of mindset. That's it. Like,
yeah,
and
but
if you think you want something, that's not always you really crave it.
We don't even know if free will is a myth or not. We don't even know these things. So like, why am I writing a book about changing people's mind if I don't even know if I really can? Because if free will is a myth, then technically you can't change anyone's mind. It's like, why bother? You know, it's the point of writing a book.
Yeah, what's the point of writing a book?
You're not going to change his mind.
Yeah.
Even if he reads it 3 times, you're not going to change his mind. So
not going to happen.
So, you know, it puts you in this conundrum, like whether it's worth the effort or not. But I enjoy the process of thinking and writing, so it's more for me, I guess. I guess it's selfish in a way. Yeah.
Still, if somebody reads it and, you know, takes something positive out of it, it's still good. It's a win-win.
You know, I'm not, that's a side effect, man. Honestly, I want to do it with my heart and do it honestly as I can. And if people like it, they do. And if they don't, I had a good time. I had fun writing it. You know, that's kind of how I approach these things are. And jiu-jitsu in general, man. Like even with my students, I give my version. I lost a student the other day because the guy's off the mats, right? And I'm saying back on the mats, and he's just like grumpy, you know, like not obeying, like fucking the blue belt, right?
Yeah.
On the mats where everyone's gonna do burpees. The guy's like taking his time, like he can hear me.
No,
he's just challenging me, right? And everyone's on the mats like looking at him, like, all right, everyone, burpees. And the guy got a mats, you're gonna count their burpees. You don't have to do burpees, you're gonna count them. And the guy's like giving me attitude, right? And then you can see he's really upset, right? And everyone's wants to kill him now, right? And at the end, like, man, listen, man, I'm not trying to pick on you. I said on the mats, you have to get on the mats. You gotta stop what you're doing, you gotta get on the mats. Because if you don't respect me, I mean, you don't trust me. If you don't trust me, I can't be your coach.
And he won't even shake my hand. Example for the whole team, like everybody's watching, right?
These guys, and they won't even, like, in his head, I'm like, he's thinking, but I pay you. I understand that, but this doesn't mean you're the boss in here.
People try to be the customer and not like a teammate, you know what I mean? They don't consider it a team.
And this is the biggest weakness, and one of the biggest weaknesses in jiu-jitsu is that we don't even know who the boss is. We say the boss is the black belt, but is he? Or is it the customer? Because if the customer wants the gym orange, what does the business logic dictate? That you paint the gym orange.
Of course.
If the customer wants the class to be easier, what does the business logic dictate? So you have the mob dictating what? The direction jiu-jitsu takes, right? As a coach, I don't like that because I know what's best. It's not what you want and what you need are not always the same thing. And if they're at odds, it's my job to say this is what you need because I know better. I know in a way that you don't because you're a white belt. Shut up.
I know, I've been there.
I've been there. I'm trying to help you here, right? Yeah. But then like, oh, but I don't like what you're saying. So you find yourself in this position where if I do the right thing, I'm going to ostracize myself and I'll find myself alone. But if I sell my soul to the devil, I'll be rich. But I'm thinking, wait a second.
But you're not going to be happy.
Unfortunately, I have a conscience. Like I wish I didn't, because if I did, my life would be easier. You know, because if I actually give people what they want, what they need as a coach,
would be easier.
I think I would. What they need, I think I'd lose all my students. If I give them what they want, I'm rich, and my life is like a walk in the park, right?
Might be, but a lot of that's the thing. You can't make everybody happy. You know, one person wants this, the other one wants, like, if you would do, let's say, 30-minute training right now, and it's easy, 1 round at the end. Most of the people are going to be happy, but then you're going to have a little group of people who are saying, hey, coach, let's do a competition class. Let's work hard, you know?
It's hard.
So it's the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
My favorite example is they crucified Jesus. What else do you need to know? All the guy spoke about was love.
Don't hurt each other, be nice.
They crucified him. And I'm thinking to myself, like, who am I to even try to make everyone to like? There's no way everyone's going to like you. It doesn't matter. Don't even bother, right? Yeah. So, you know, I live a conflict, I guess, in that sense. But at the same time, man, my life is so awesome. Like, I should never stress out, man, because I got, You guys are paying me. Can you believe that? I totally do this for free. I just don't tell you guys that, but I would totally do it for free.
All right, what about the movie? Because you were shooting a movie as well,
I
right?
am. We got into a legal issue. And here's like, when it comes to these things, man, like I'm never scared of a challenge. I'm always like, I don't know anything about documentaries, but I'm gonna get involved. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn, right? Yeah, I'm that kind of guy. I'm dealing with people that are very cunning. They've been in the business for a long time, and they know things that I didn't, and they're
like stopping you a little bit.
They're slowing me down, and then the problems began. But first of all, they couldn't stick to a schedule. Like we have schedules in writing, and they just ignore all schedules. Second problem was that they wanted to argue history with me. It's like, okay, you want to argue which camera to use, which lighting, all that stuff. Like, I'm not going to open my mouth because I don't know these cameras.
Yeah.
I don't even. I can press record, and that's I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But when you know about history, I think I know it more than you do. Please don't argue with me. Shut up.
You studied history, right?
I have a major in history. I have an unfinished master's, but yeah, like it's a hobby.
You know something.
I think I know something, right? And then the third problem is when I wrote the book, it was to buy them time to finish the documentary. Like, because everyone's waiting for it, right? It's like, I'm gonna write a book, maybe that buys some time, you know? When I told the guys, naively told them how much we sold. And it turns out we sold really well. We were #1 on Amazon for Brazilian history. We were #3 for martial arts for a minute. Like, we were behind Art of War and Bruce Lee's biography. We were #3 on Amazon martial arts category. Dude, we were ahead of like Musashi Gorino Show. We were ahead of like all these jiu-jitsu books, like every karate and judo book. Like, we were #3 on Amazon, #1 in Brazilian history. So I'm thinking to myself, man, this is incredible. We sold really well. And I told these guys had the audacity to ask for a percentage. They thought they deserved a percentage of the book. Like,
you didn't even do your job.
You didn't even do your job, like, let alone I wrote.
And you want to earn from my job.
It's unbelievable, the audacity some people have. But anyway, long story short, I could be blamed for being naive, for being over-trusting. I cannot be blamed for being dishonest. I cannot be blamed for lack of work ethic. I cannot take that blame. I can say this with a straight face. I am 100% blamable of being naive and overly trusting and walking into these fights because I don't realize these things are fights. I walk in with my hands down because I'm assuming the other person has the same integrity and work ethic that I do.
You don't assume other person wants to fight you. You assume they want to cooperate.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, you see people smiling and you hang out, like, oh man, we cool, we're good.
We're doing something together.
And then in the back of their minds, they're thinking, how do I get money? I'll milk the cow, you know? And they're thinking like they're thinking about like, how can I walk around this agreement so I can get more than I was promised, it's always what benefits me. And then they have to wrap it up in all this talk about, you know, they'll wrap it up in some you know, like some rhetoric or whatever. But like, if you get down to the bottom of it, it's just like, how do I benefit from this? So like, oh, you're angry that I wrote a book? Well, write a book. Keep your profits. I don't want a percentage. Go for it. Be happy if you. You know what I'm saying? But like, they don't want to do that. Why? Because that's 1,000 hours out of your life. It takes work, but they want to cut. You see, so you're dealing with people like that. That's, long story short, that's what happened. But I own the rights. That's the important part. All right. And it's going to happen. It might be another year. I don't know yet because there are things that are not in my. COVID slowed everything down.
So no schedule for now.
No schedule, but it's. I made a promise to Meyerbeck and Zalerbek Kasiev, and I give them my word. I shook my hand. It means something to me. You know, these people trust me with their money. They never made me sign a contract. I don't forget these things. Yeah. Because that's a rare thing. You know, someone would trust you like that. Well, so like, to me, it's my word. I mean, even if I have to pull money out of my own pocket, if I have to pay for this out of my own pocket, I'm going to do it. And if it's the last thing I have to do in my life, I'm going to finish this documentary, and it's going to be done my way. Because once I get these people that don't understand history and they're more worried about stepping on eggshells than worried about being historically accurate, and you know, I will do it my way, it's going to be better because now I don't have any obstacles once I get rid of them. So that's, long story short, that's where we're at.
All right, so we got 2 books coming up. We got a documentary coming up. We don't know when. What else you been up to lately? The gym is banging.
Gym is good. I finally, after 14 years of getting my teeth kicked in, I finally found a good manager. And I had good managers before. Some of them are really good. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, the thing about a jiu-jitsu gym is that it requires someone with credibility, work ethic, and integrity, right? In jiu-jitsu gym, you have to know jiu-jitsu, people to respect you. You have to have integrity. I'm not going to steal. You have to have work ethic. If I don't know a solution to a problem, you don't go, what do I do, or I'm not going to do it. There's a fire. I don't know what to do. You solve the problem. If you don't know how to solve the problem,
react right away.
You learn. Ask questions.
Call somebody who
Call
knows
someone
how
who
to
knows.
solve the
Google it.
problem.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Figure it out, right? After 14 years, this guy's been sitting right in front of me. I've known him since he was like 14 years old. He's one of my students from Brazil, Marcelo. And he was like a handyman his whole life, worked security. And one day he's like, hey man, I want the job. And I'm like, really? You sure? I'm like, yeah, I want the job. I'm like, all right, it's yours. So we started with profit share, and then like he did better than I thought he would. I gave him a raise. He makes more money than I do today. I'm like perfectly happy because he does 90% of the work. Awesome. I get to do what I love the most, which is to teach. I teach, and then it frees up my time to do other things like come here or, you know, write the books and focus on other projects. And so it's been single-handedly one of the smartest moves of my life was, if I get anyone any advice about starting a business enterprise, be very selective about who you work with. If you're not a good judge of character, then find someone who is, and that person should be the one hiring, not you. Because it is, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have the right people on your team. It's not people are not created equal. They vary dramatically, and especially work ethic. Like someone
not every. I mean, people like to work when they work for themselves.
You know, even so, man. Even so, yeah. But like, even so, like, I find like a lot of people just. That's where this Bitcoin craze comes from. You're like, oh, I'm gonna get rich from Bitcoin. Why? Because I don't have to work.
Buy,
press
sell.
a button.
Buy, sell.
I'm a billionaire. Yeah. I like stuck in one of my students here. He's like a 22-year-old, 23, whatever. He goes like, oh, don't worry, coach. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna get rich from this cryptocurrency, and I've done the math. And when it shoots to $2, I'll have $20 million in my bank account. I'm like, oh. Great life plan.
Well, let me drive your Lambo.
It's like, what do you do? Yeah, I'll drive your Lambo for you.
Right, so you're not competing anymore, but you still do all the gym duties. Like you just said, the gym is getting better.
The gym, the team, like Zenith is a full-time job because it's like, oh, like, you know, I'll speak with you like every couple, 3 months, whatever. But like, if every instructor in Zenith talks to me every 3 months, I'm on the phone 3 hours a day talking to you.
All the time.
You know, so there's like little stuff all the time going on. You know, and then you get family life, you know, but like in general, like I've managed to work my life in a way that I'm able to work on what I want to work, my projects, like 4 or 5 hours a day. And the rest of the time, it's like normal work stuff. So my workload could be really, like I can make it 2 hours a day if I want to, or I can make it 10. It depends on what I'm doing, and it's flexible.
What you want to do.
Yeah, and there's a lot of flexibility there, so life is good. But I'm going to open a second location in Henderson soon. With a third one, because we have one in North Las Vegas, right? So it'll be a third location in Vegas. And yeah, that's it, man. I want to start a tournament. I think we talked about it literally. I want to have like a different idea of like making jiu-jitsu more Spartan, you know, like we were talking. Like more geared towards reality, less towards popularity. Some other ideas. Yeah, I honestly, man, like the reason I don't move faster is I don't have the right people. Like if I had more captains, I think I can move a lot faster. But it's hard because, you know, the jiu-jitsu, the older people have jobs. Younger people don't want to work, right? So there's that.
That's it. Nothing more to say there.
But man, honestly, man, like I have the best life in the world, man. Like I always say this. Sometimes I wake up and I go, man.
Jiu-jitsu gave you a lot. Jiu-jitsu gave me a lot.
Dude, I could be a bitch sometimes and complain about life, and then I'll just like listen and why the reasons I'm complaining. I'm like, Rob, stop being a bitch. Shut the fuck. Your life is incredible. You know, and I'm like, it really is, man. Like it could be so much worse, you know? So just, and whatever you're at in life, I don't care where you're doing, find reasons to be happy, man. That's all I can say. Like find the right people, focus on them, shut up the noise. The noise is the noise. Just find the things that make you happy and stick to those. And you know, they're incredible, man.
Speaking of being happy,
they're incredible.
And perfect life.
I don't know. Sometimes they're really my kids. I can't even believe it because like they're so
much better than you.
You know, like they go to bed. Since they were little babies, man. They wake up. They never wake me up. They make me breakfast, bring it in bed. They clean after themselves. They do their homework on time. They play piano. They read. I don't even have to tell them to read anymore. Now they're playing. They learn how to play the guitar. They train jiu-jitsu. Every now and then a fight. Every now and then some complaints. But for the most part, I've done zero discipline. I've never had to hit my daughters, man. Like I don't even know how I did that because sometimes when kids don't obey me, it drives me crazy. I'm like, I'm telling you what to just do it. You know, I never had to do that with my daughters, man. So I'm doing something right, man. I think they're on the right track. Very, very attached to them, you know. The older they get, I thought like when they're little, they're cute, you know. And you think, oh, they're going to get older, they're not going to be cute anymore. And it's true, they're less cute when they're older, but then you have the relationship with them.
Yeah, you see more
so it's even better. I have a bigger connection with them now because like now they make fun of me. They'll joke with me. I'm like, they're like friends.
Like your friends and not your
it's
a little baby that doesn't understand anything.
Yes, they have their own views, they have their own ideas, and they fire their ideas at me. And like, say, we're back and forth talking about something. So being a parent, I want more kids. So I don't know if I want another wife. That's a tough one. But kids, yeah, I want more kids. I think kids are awesome. Kids are the meaning of life, man. Meaning of life. There's nothing better, man. Like no title, no medal, no money. Like nah. People are like, oh, I want to be single and travel the world. I'm like, telling you, man. I've done both. I have kids and I've traveled the world. I'm telling you, it's like not even close. It's not even close, man. Make some babies, man. Make some babies and spend your time and energy on them. Don't hand them an iPad. Take that iPad away, man.
Take
that iPad away. Hand it, like, yeah, man. Take that. It's bad. Like it's bad. It's an addiction. It's just get away. Maybe an hour a day.
There's so much cool stuff you can do without it. Yeah,
I mean, it's a thing. 1 hour a day. Yeah. Make the apps productive. Are the apps productive? Are they teaching them something? If they're not, take them away. That's kind of what I try to do with my daughter. Like I have an hour a day, but it has to be a productive thing. It's got to be art, music. I try to keep them away from the stupid games, and so they don't have social media. And I've talked so much smack about social media to them over the last 3-4 years that I think they think it's like crack cocaine or something. Like they're never going to touch it. They think social media is something evil. Like that's how indoctrinated they become. Poor things.
You proud of yourself?
I think it's better than the alternative. Of being addicted to being validated by people you don't know. But there's a lot of evidence showing that there's some psychological damage that comes to social media and
especially with we were growing with social media improved with us, and a lot of people were born with social media already being there. And I think that's a whole different story.
No, you can't. It would be like trying to take TV from my generation. Like it's like, what do you mean can't have television? Exactly.
Like,
look,
government.
I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle. It is what it is. But we can put some buffers there, like you can control when your phone and 1 hour a day. I can limit it anytime. I can have those apps shut off whenever I want them to on my phone. So do that. Just give them an hour. That's it. You get an hour a day. That's it.
You still play guitar?
Poorly. I try. So I started guitar before my daughter started piano, and they're playing really well piano. And then because we were talking about, I'm going to start a band one day. Because I think I'm old and grumpy and lonely. I was like, that's a pretty cool thing to have. You have a band with your kids. That'd be great, right?
That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. You go to
smoke a cigar.
Yeah, like a local bar with like 3 people there listening to you play. That'd be amazing. Like right.
The other side of the lake.
Anywhere, man. With your kids playing, right? Because they're really into music, so they're on their ways to becoming black belt.
You're really into music. That's probably where they get the inspiration.
I love music. I've since I was a kid, I've always loved music. I love music, but I only got to learn an instrument recently, like 2 years ago. So I'm like a white belt with 4 stripes on a guitar. I can play.
4 stripes is getting pretty serious. I think you can give your opinion.
I don't practice enough. I normally tell people I'll practice like 10 minutes a day. It's more like 20 minutes a week. Like I gotta practice more. That's all it is.
I gotta do the same. I bought a guitar some time ago, but
honestly, man, you have to relax. Forget you have something else to do today, and just get into, let it suck you in.
Like a meditation.
Yes, and then you get into the zone. Once you're in the zone, an hour goes by and it's like nothing, right? But I'm always in a rush, so that's the problem. You need more. You have
to slow down.
But I can't remember. There's a book I read years ago. I can't remember the call, but I think it's like the productivity of of having nothing to do or something like that. Basically, the idea is
stop doing too much shit.
Yeah, it's like when you're idle, that's where creativity. Great songs are not written when people are busy in traffic on the phone. Great songs are written when you're on vacation with your family, right? Or just right now, chilling.
I have best ideas when I'm on the other part of the world, chilling, have nothing to do. No one calls me. I have no plan. My only concern during the day is what am I gonna eat? And what time am I gonna nap?
Yeah.
And that's when I have my best ideas.
Yeah, that's because your brain is allowed to do something it normally doesn't do. We become so obsessed with success, whatever the hell that means, and we forget that there's this other more human side to us that demands creativity, right? But we don't nurture it. We just kind of creativity doesn't make money. So man, what about your spirit, man? What about your soul? You need that, right? So I've become more aware of these things. I'm really awful at drawing and arts and stuff. I'm very clumsy and like very poor coordination in general.
Jiu-jitsu fingers, you know?
Possibly, you know, and I'm very impatient too. So, but like music is something I can see myself getting into as I get older. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Let's go listen to some music.
Let's go. What are you listening to these days?
What's up?
What are you listening to these days?
I listen to everything.
I'm like really into like 80s again, man, like 80s and 90s. That's my, maybe because I grew up there, you know, like in that 80s.
When I come back with like things that touches me the most are the things that I grew up with.
Yeah,
I grew up with like, you know, early hip hop usually. That was my thing when I was a kid.
So it's always going to bring back, man.
Because I was listening to that, I went to Johnny Cash, or I went to some, I don't know, like all the old jazz guys, because the hip hop artists were inspired by them. And
Yeah.
they sing about them sometimes, or
Yeah.
use their samples. And if you start digging, you go deeper.
Yeah.
And you
You know, man, I've been listening to a lot of like bossa nova. You know what bossa nova is? It's like a cross between jazz and samba, right? It's a Brazilian style of music. Man, it's incredible music. It's beautiful. It's like jazz and samba, but it's so good. But I got into it like maybe a year ago, and I got into like a bunch of like old Italian and Spanish songs and stuff that like my grandma would have been listening to. But it's beautiful music, man. It really is.
You wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah, but like you have to but you have to like give it a minute and appreciate it. Not try like, oh, this is not on the radio, I don't know this song, switch. You have to give it a chance to seduce you, you know, and then there's a lot of old stuff that's really good.
What I saw when I listen to music is it always sounds better if I know a little bit, like some story behind it. You know what I mean? And when I watched Walk the Line and then I listen to Johnny Cash, it makes more sense than just listening to Johnny Cash.
This is why I always
know the story, you know the
it adds wealth to
exactly.
Yeah. It's like when people travel and they go on vacation, I'm like, have you read a book on the country you're traveling to? Like, no. I'm like, stop what you're doing right now, buy a book on the history of the country, read that book, and then it's a whole new experience. And it makes that castle, all of a sudden, it's not just a bunch of rocks.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just stone on stone. There's a story behind, like, oh, this is where so-and-so fought so-and-so, and the experience is so...
Magical. It makes it magical.
I'm not one to recommend Wikipedia, but if at the very least... we did Wikipedia on that castle, at the very least.
Sometimes it's, you know, enough. If you're in a rush, okay.
If you're not willing to dedicate more than 10 minutes to learn about it, but like don't even step on the plane before you spend at least 10 minutes learning about the places you're gonna go visit, man. Because otherwise it's just a view.
Better,
you know?
The music sounds better, everything
of course.
makes more sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, dude, I'm a big believer in that. Yeah.
Good talk, Rob.
Brother, always a pleasure, man. All right, thank you.